You've always been mine. The words crawled into Emma's ear like poison as strong arms caught her mid-collapse. She couldn't breathe, couldn't think. The ballroom of Manhattan's elite spun into darkness, but not before she saw his face carved from stone and sin eyes black as midnight, a smile that promised both salvation and destruction. "Let me go," she choked out. His thumb traced her jaw with terrifying intimacy. Never. Her heart hammered against her ribs. This stranger held her like he owned her, like she'd been his long before tonight. The chandelier above blurred into stars as consciousness slipped away. His whisper, the last thing she heard, mine. Before we continue, subscribe now and stay until the end. Comment your city below, so I know how far Emma's story reaches. You won't believe what happens next. The champagne glass slipped from Emma's fingers. She didn't hear it shatter, didn't hear the gasps around her. All she heard was the roaring in her ears as the marble floor rushed up to meet her face, and then nothing. Just strong arms, expensive cologne, and a voice that wrapped around her like velvet chains. "I've got you." When Emma's eyes fluttered open, the world had narrowed to a single point, the man holding her. Dark hair silvered at the temples, a face too sharp to be handsome, too compelling to look away from. And eyes, God, those eyes that stared at her like she was the only person in the room, like she was prey. "Let me go." Her voice came out, broken, desperate. "When you can stand." His accent curled around the words Italian she thought dimly, which isn't now. Emma tried to push against his chest. Her hands met solid muscle beneath custom-tailored wool. The room spun again. She was going to be sick, going to die of humiliation in front of New York's wealthiest elite. "Marco," the man's voice cracked like a whip. A figure materialized beside them. Tall, dark suit, earpiece barely visible. "Sir, clear the West Room now and bring food." "I don't need," Emma started. "You collapsed from hunger." Not a question, a statement. His arms tightened fractionally around her. "Don't insult my intelligence by lying." Heat flooded her face. Around them, the party had gone silent. Hundreds of eyes watching, judging, seeing exactly what she was, a broke art student in a borrowed dress, held together with safety pins, crashing a world she'd never belonged to. "Please," she whispered, "put me down." Everyone's staring. Something flickered in his dark eyes. "Let them." He turned, carrying her through the crowd like she weighed nothing, like the whispers and stares meant nothing. "They'll forget by tomorrow. You won't." The certainty in those words sent ice down her spine. He pushed through a door into blessed quiet. The room beyond was smaller, darker leather and mahogany and floor-to-ceiling bookshelves. He set her on a sofa with surprising gentleness, then crouched before her, bringing them eye to eye. "When did you last eat?" Emma's throat closed. "This morning." "Try again." His gaze dragged over her face, cataloging details she couldn't hide. "Your pupils are dilated. You're shaking, pale. When?" Yesterday, she admitted hating herself. "Lunch or a dinner?" "Does it matter?" Emma, her name on his lips, sent electricity through her veins. "Lunch or dinner?" She blinked. "How do you know my name?" A smile ghosted across his mouth there and gone, devastating. "I make it my business to know things." "You're Emma Blake, 23, MFA student at NYU. You have 3 paintings in the East Gallery that made me forget to breathe." The world tilted again. "You what?" "Your work." He leaned closer, close enough she could see gold flecks in his dark eyes. "It's extraordinary, raw, like someone ripped open their chest and bled onto canvas." No one had ever described her paintings like that. Professors praised her technique. Classmates admired her color theory, but no one had seen the pain underneath. The loneliness, the desperate clawing hunger for something more than struggling, paycheck to paycheck. "I don't know what you're talking about," she whispered. Another lie. His hand moved to her wrist, fingers circling it easily. Checking her pulse, she realized. "Your heart is racing, from fear or something else." "Who are you?" "Alessandro Russo." The name hit her like a physical blow. She'd heard it before, whispered in art circles, mentioned in business sections of newspapers she couldn't afford to buy. Alessandro Russo, billionaire, collector, son of a man who'd been investigated for organized crime 3 times and walked away clean every time. "Oh God." Emma tried to pull her wrist free. His grip didn't budge. "I need to leave. I shouldn't be here. I shouldn't have come." "Stop." The command froze her mid-panic. Breathe, Emma. In through your nose, out through your mouth. Now. She obeyed without thinking. His thumb stroked the inside of her wrist, slow, hypnotic circles that somehow lowered her racing heart. Good girl, he murmured. Again. The approval in his voice did something to her, made her want to obey, to please him, which was insane because she didn't know this man didn't trust him, didn't. The door opened. Marco entered with a tray. Real food, not hors d'oeuvres, a thick sandwich fruit bottled water. Emma's stomach growled so loudly the sound echoed. Alessandro's mouth curved. Eat. I should go. Eat first. He released her wrist, sat back. Then we'll discuss why you thought attending a charity gala on an empty stomach was a good idea. Pride flared hot in her chest. I don't need your pity. Good, because I don't pity you. His eyes held hers. I admire you. Anyone desperate enough to starve themselves for their art deserves respect, not pity. The words hit something deep inside her. Emma grabbed the sandwich before she could overthink it, took a bite. Then another. By the third bite, she'd abandoned all pretense of dignity and devoured it like a wild animal. Alessandro watched in silence. Somehow that made it worse, his steady gaze tracking every movement, every swallow. When she finished, shame burned through her. I'll pay you back, she said quietly. For the food. No. I don't accept. I want to buy your paintings. The world stopped. Emma stared at him, certain she'd misheard. What? All three. In the East Gallery. He pulled out a checkbook, actual paper expensive, leather cover. Name your price. They're marked at $800 each. I'm not asking what the gallery priced them at. I'm asking what they're worth to you. He clicked a pen, held it poised over the check. What would change your life, Emma? Her heart hammered. This was insane. People didn't just buy art from nobody students, especially not men who probably owned half of Manhattan. Why? The question tore from her throat. You don't know me. My work isn't, I'm nothing, nobody. You won't be. He started writing, 5,000 each, 15 total. Emma's vision blurred. $15,000, 6 months of rent, food, art supplies, a chance to paint instead of working herself to death waitressing. That's too much, she whispered. It's insulting. Alessandro tore off the check, held it out. But it's what I suspect you'll accept without arguing. Am I right? Am I? He was. God, he was. Emma's hands shook as she reached for the check. Her fingers brushed his warm calloused, despite the expensive suit. The contact sent shockwaves up her arm. I don't understand, she breathed. Why are you doing this? Alessandro's expression shifted. For just a moment, something raw crossed his face, something almost vulnerable. Because I know what it's like to be hungry. Not for food, for everything. His thumb traced the back of her hand. Because your work shows me someone who understands that beauty and pain are the same thing. Because when you looked at me just now, you saw a man instead of a name. Do you know how rare that is? Emma couldn't breathe, couldn't think. His touch burned against her skin. I need to go, she managed. Not yet. Alessandro released her hand, sat back. We need to discuss terms. Terms? I want more of your work, exclusively. His eyes pinned her. You paint. I buy. No galleries, no other collectors, just us. Warning bells screamed in her head. I can't agree to that. What if you decide you don't like what I paint? I'll like it. Absolute certainty. Because you paint truth. And truth is the only thing I can't buy. You're buying it right now, she pointed out. His smile was sharp. Am I, or are you selling yourself to me because you're desperate enough to take money from a stranger? The words should have stung. Instead, they felt like relief, like someone finally seeing her clearly. I'm desperate, Emma admitted, but I'm not for sale. Everyone's for sale, Tesoro. The only question is price. Alessandro stood towering over her. Go home, cash the check, paint something new. When you're ready, call me. He handed her a business card. And Emma, yes. Next time you're hungry for food, for inspiration, for anything, you call me first. Not the gallery, not your professors. Me, understood. Her pride rebelled. I don't need a savior. I'm not offering salvation. His eyes darkened. I'm offering partnership. You have talent I want to own. I have resources you need to survive. It's simple economics. Nothing about this is simple. No, he agreed, but it's honest, which is more than most people in that ballroom can say. He moved toward the door, paused. Marco will drive you home. I can take the subway. You'll take the car, not a request. And you'll text me when you arrive safely. You don't have my number. Alessandro's smile was predatory. Yes, I do. Then he was gone, leaving Emma alone with a check for $15,000 and the terrifying certainty that her life had just changed in ways she couldn't begin to comprehend. She sat there for 10 minutes staring at the check. Alessandro's signature slashed across the bottom, bold, aggressive, claiming. She pulled out her phone with shaking hands, Googled his name. The results made her stomach drop. Alessandro Russo, 38, CEO of Russo Enterprises. Net worth estimated at $2.3 billion. Father Vittorio Russo investigated 3 times for connections to organized crime, never charged. Alessandro himself stayed mostly out of tabloids, but what she found painted a picture of a man who collected companies like other people collected stamps and art. His private collection was legendary pieces museums would kill to display. He'd bought her paintings, her amateur desperate nobody paintings. Emma's phone buzzed. Unknown number. Marco was waiting outside. Black car. Don't make him wait long. Her fingers trembled as she typed back, "How did you get my number?" The response came immediately. "I told you, I make it my business to know things. Now go, it's late. This is creepy. This is efficient. There's a difference." Emma bit her lip, fighting a hysterical laugh. "What if I refuse? Then I'll come back and carry you to the car myself. Your choice, tesoro." The endearment sent heat through her. Emma stood, legs still shaky, and made her way through the now empty ballroom. The party had moved to another room. No one noticed her leaving. Outside, the November air hit like a slap. The black town car idled at the curb exactly as promised. Marco opened the door without a word. Emma should have refused, should have taken the subway like always. But her legs felt like water, and the check in her pocket felt like a promise she was already bound to. The car's interior smelled like leather and money. Marco pulled into traffic, smoothly silent as a ghost. Emma watched the city slide past, feeling like Cinderella, except the prince was possibly connected to the mafia and she had paint under her nails instead of glass slippers. Her phone buzzed. "Deposit the check tomorrow. First thing, don't wait." "Why the urgency?" "Because I want you thinking about what comes next instead of whether I'll change my mind." Her breath caught. "Will you never? When I want something, I keep it. Remember that." The possession in those words should have terrified her. Instead, it sent a thrill down her spine that had nothing to do with the money and everything to do with the way he'd looked at her like she was valuable. Wanted. Seen. "I don't know what you want from me," she typed. "Yes, you do. You're just afraid to admit it." Marco pulled up to her building in Bushwick. The contrast between the gleaming car and her rundown apartment couldn't be starker. Graffiti-covered walls, broken street lights, the smell of garbage and exhaust. "Thank you," she told Marco. He nodded once. "Mr. Russo says eat breakfast tomorrow. Real food." Then he was gone, leaving Emma standing on cracked pavement, check burning in her pocket. She climbed 4 flights of stairs. Her studio apartment looked even smaller than usual. One room serving as bedroom, kitchen, studio, everything. Sarah's stuff was scattered everywhere. The radiator clanked its broken rhythm. Emma pulled out the check under flickering kitchen light, stared at Alessandro's signature. Then she started crying. Great gulping sobs that shook her whole body. Relief, terror, confusion, all of it pouring out in her tiny kitchen that smelled like old takeout and turpentine. When she finally stopped, Emma washed her face and sat at her easel. She should sleep, should process, should be sensible. Instead, she painted. The canvas came alive under her brush. Dark colors, violent strokes. A man's silhouette backlit by city lights. She couldn't see his face clearly, but she knew his eyes, knew how he'd held her, knew the danger and safety tangled together. She painted until 4 a.m. until her vision blurred. Only then did she step back and look. Alessandro Russo rendered in shadows and certainty, a man who'd crashed into her life and rearranged it with nothing but a check and a command. Her phone buzzed. "I hope you're painting." Emma's heart stopped. She stared at the canvas, at her paint-stained hands. "How did you know an I know artist? We don't sleep when inspiration strikes. Show me." She shouldn't. This was insane. But Emma photographed the canvas, sent it before sense could intervene. 3 minutes. Then 5. Her heart hammered. Extraordinary. Finish it. I'll pay 30,000. Emma nearly dropped her phone. That's insane. That's what you're worth. Now sleep. Tomorrow we talk about your future. What if I don't want to talk about my future with you? Then you wouldn't still be texting me at 4 a.m. Good night, Tesoro. Dream of me. The audacity, the arrogance, the absolute certainty. Emma fell asleep on her couch, fully clothed phone clutched in her hand. She dreamed of dark eyes and dangerous promises and the terrifying feeling that her life had just spun completely out of her control. When she woke 6 hours later, there was a text. Breakfast is on your doorstep. Eat it. Then call me. Emma opened her door. A bag from Balthazar Croissant's fresh fruit coffee that smelled like heaven. A note in bold handwriting. No arguments. She brought it inside, ate every bite while staring at Alessandro's business card. Then, because she was either brave or stupid, she dialed. He answered on the first ring. Emma. Her name and his accent made her pulse stutter. You ate. How did you? Marco confirmed delivery. Did you like the croissants? You can't keep doing this. Her voice shook. Feeding me, buying my art. I don't even know you. Then let me fix that. Dinner, tonight, 7. I don't think you painted me last night. His voice dropped intimate. Don't pretend you're not curious. Her face burned. It wasn't. I'm flattered. Say yes, Emma. She should say no, should hang up, should run. Yes, she whispered. Good girl. The approval made her shiver. Wear something comfortable. We're not going anywhere fancy. Alessandro, I'll see you tonight, Tesoro. Don't be late. The line went dead. Emma sat there, heart racing, wondering what she just agreed to. Across the city, Alessandro Russo set down his phone and smiled, the first genuine smile in months. His assistant, Maria, raised an eyebrow. The artist. You never smile like that. I've never met anyone like her before. Alessandro looked at Emma's painting, now displayed on his office wall. She sees me, Maria, really sees me. Not the money, not the name, just mi quat. Your father won't approve. Alessandro's smile hardened. My father doesn't approve of anything. But Emma Blake is mine. And what's mine, I keep. He turned to Maria. Prepare exclusive contracts. I want all her work. Alessandro, she's nobody. Your father will say, I don't care. Ice in his voice. For once, I'm choosing something just for me. Someone who doesn't know what I am. Who looked at me and saw a man worth painting. His hand traced the canvas. Do you know how rare that is? Maria sighed. What if she runs when she learns the truth? Then I'll chase her. Simple. Final. Now go. I have dinner to plan. When Maria left, Alessandro returned to the painting. Emma had captured something he had never shown anyone, the loneliness beneath the power. The hunger for something real. You see me, he murmured. Let's see if you are brave enough to keep looking. He had 7 hours. 7 hours to plan how to make Emma Blake understand that what started as charity had become something far more dangerous. For both of them. The dress Sarah pulled from her closet made Emma want to cry. Absolutely not, Emma said, backing away from the emerald silk like it might bite on her. That's your interview dress. The one you wore to meet Marcus's parents. Which is exactly why you're wearing it. Sarah shoved the hanger at her. You're having dinner with a billionaire, M. You can't show up in your paint-stained jeans. He said casual. Men like Alessandro Russo don't do casual. Sarah's eyes gleamed with the kind of excitement that meant Emma was doomed. I Googled him after you told me. Do you have any idea who he is? His last girlfriend was a French model. Before that, an opera singer. You need to look like you belong. Emma's stomach twisted. Maybe I don't belong. Maybe I should cancel. You deposited his check this morning. I can give it back. With what money? Sarah grabbed Emma's shoulders. Listen to me. This man bought your paintings for $15,000. He's sending cars, buying you breakfast. He wants you, Emma. Don't sabotage this because you're scared. I'm terrified, Emma whispered. What if he wants more than my art? Sarah's expression softened. Then you decide if you're brave enough to give it to him. She held up the dress again. But first you need to survive dinner. Now put this on before I physically wrestle you into it. 20 minutes later, Emma stared at herself in their bathroom mirror. The dress fit perfectly, hugged her curves, made her look like someone who belonged in Alessandro's world. Sarah had done her makeup, kept it natural but polished. Emma barely recognized herself. Her phone buzzed. 6:45. Marco is downstairs. Take your time. I'm a patient man. Emma's hands shook as she typed back. What if I'm not ready? Then I'll wait. But Emma, yes, you're already braver than you think. Now come to me. The command in those words made her knees weak. Emma grabbed her coat, threadbare wrong for the dress, but all she had, and headed downstairs. The town car gleamed under streetlights. Marco opened the door, his expression carefully neutral as he took in her transformation. You look lovely, Miss Blake. Thank you, Emma managed, sliding into leather seats that probably cost more than her monthly rent. The drive took 30 minutes. Emma watched the city transform around her, from Bushwick's grit to Manhattan's gleam, streets getting cleaner, buildings getting taller, people getting wealthier with every block. Her palms sweated against her clutch. Marco pulled up to a building in Tribeca, not a restaurant, a residence. Glass and steel, reaching toward the sky, doorman in uniform, lobby visible through floor-to-ceiling windows dripping with crystal chandeliers. Mr. Russo is expecting you, Marco said. Penthouse, top floor. Emma's heart hammered. I thought we were going to dinner. You are. Marco's mouth twitched. Mr. Russo prefers privacy for important conversations. That should have sent her running. Instead, Emma found herself stepping out of the car, walking through doors held open by the doorman, crossing a lobby that looked like it belonged in a museum. The elevator attendant pressed the button for the penthouse without asking. The ride up lasted 43 seconds. Emma counted each one, trying to control her breathing. The elevator opened directly into an apartment, no hallway, no other doors. Just stepping straight into someone's home. Alessandro's home. The space took her breath away. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city, furniture that looked like art, and walls covered with paintings. Real paintings. A Rothko, a Basquiat, a Caravaggio that belonged in a museum. You came. Emma spun. Alessandro stood in the doorway to what looked like a kitchen, sleeves rolled up, tag on top, button undone. He looked different than last night, less polished, more dangerous, more real. You didn't give me much choice, she said, hating how breathless she sounded. There's always a choice, Tesoro. He moved toward her, each step deliberate. You could have said no, run away, blocked my number, but you're here. He stopped close enough she could smell his cologne. Why, you bought my paintings. Try again. Emma's pulse raced. You promised dinner. Still lying. His hand came up, fingers grazing her jaw. You're here because you painted me at 4 a.m. Because you want to understand why a stranger would care about a starving artist. Because you're curious about what I want from you. His thumb traced her lower lip. Aren't you? Yes, she whispered. Yes, she. Good. Honesty looks beautiful on you. He stepped back, breaking the spell. Come, dinner's almost ready. Emma followed him into a kitchen that belonged in a magazine, marble counters, professional appliances, a table set for 2 overlooking the city. You cook. I do many things that would surprise you. Alessandro pulled out her chair. Sit. She sat. He disappeared into the kitchen area, moving with surprising efficiency. Emma watched him plate food, pasta she realized fresh and homemade. The smell made her mouth water. You made this, she asked when he set the plate before her. My mother's recipe, cacio e pepe. Simple. Honest. He sat across from her, poured wine she definitely couldn't afford. Like you. I'm not simple. No, you're complicated and messy and real. He raised his glass. Which makes you the most interesting person I've met in a decade. Emma sipped wine to hide her confusion. You don't know me. I know you haven't eaten a proper meal in days. I know you paint at 4 a.m. when an inspiration strikes. I know you're proud enough to be uncomfortable accepting help, but desperate enough to do it anyway. His eyes held hers. I know you see things other people miss, including me. The painting was devastating. Alessandro set down his glass. You painted me a shadow, dangerous, alone. How did you know? I didn't. Emma struggled for words. I painted what I felt. When you caught me, the way you looked at me like you saw something valuable. I did see something valuable. He leaned forward. You. The air between them crackled. Emma forced herself to look away to eat. The pasta was perfect, creamy, rich, exactly what she needed. She tried to eat slowly, maintain dignity, but hunger won. Alessandro watched with something like satisfaction. Better, he asked when she'd finished. Yes, thank you. Emma met his gaze. But I still don't understand why. Why what? Any of this. The money, the dinner, the attention. I'm nobody, Alessandro. A broke student with mediocre paintings. Don't. The word cracked like a whip. Don't diminish your work. Those paintings made me feel something I haven't felt in years. What? Hope. The admission seemed to cost him. That something real still exists in a world of fakery and calculation. Emma's throat tightened. You barely know me. What if I disappoint you? You won't. How can you be so sure? Because you're already arguing with me instead of agreeing with everything I say. His smile was sharp. Do you know how refreshing that is? People spend their lives telling me what I want to hear. You tell me the truth even when it costs you. The truth is, I'm terrified, Emma admitted, of you, of this, of what you want from me. I want your art, exclusively. Alessandro stood, moved to a sideboard, returned with the papers. I had my lawyers draw up a contract. You paint. I buy everything you create for the next 2 years. 50,000 per piece minimum. More if I think it's worth more. Emma's vision blurred. 50,000, that's insane. That's what talent is worth. He pushed the contract toward her. Read it, ask questions. Take it to a lawyer if you want. But Emma, his hand covered hers. This is real. I'm offering you a chance to be an artist instead of a struggling student. Take it. She pulled her hand away, tried to think through the rush of adrenaline. What's the catch? Smart girl. Alessandro sat back. The catch is me. I'm not an easy man. I want control over when and how your work is shown. I want first right of refusal on everything you create. And he paused, I want you to trust me with the darkest parts of yourself. The parts you put in your paintings. Why some? Because I understand darkness, and I think you need someone who won't be afraid of yours. Emma's hand shook as she picked up the contract. The terms were exactly as he'd stated, generous to the point of absurdity. But there were clauses about exclusivity, about her attending events as his guest, about promotional obligations. This section, she said, pointing, about public appearances. What does that mean? Gallery openings, charity events, dinners with collectors. Alessandro's gaze didn't waver. You'd attend as my artist, my guest. Eventually people would assume more. Would they be wrong to assume? The question hung between them. Alessandro's expression shifted, something predatory sliding into place. That depends on you. On whether I'm willing to be more than your artist. I won't apologize for wanting you. He stood, moved around the table until he was close enough to touch. I wanted you the moment I caught you. Before I saw your paintings. Before I knew your name. You looked at me like I was dangerous and safe in the same breath, and I haven't been able to stop thinking about you since. Emma stood too, needing the distance, but he followed. I can't, this is too fast, too much. Then we'll go slow. His hand cupped her face. But don't lie to yourself about what this is. I want your art, yes, but I want you more. And I think you want me too, even if it terrifies you. It does terrify me, she breathed. You're too much, too powerful, too dangerous. His thumb traced her jaw. Yes, I am. My world is complicated and sometimes cruel. But I promise you this, I will never hurt you. I will never let anyone else hurt you. And I will make sure your talent gets the recognition it deserves. And if I say no to the rest, if I just want the professional relationship, pain flickered across his face, then I'll accept it. But Emma, he leaned closer, lips brushing her ear. You're lying again. Your pulse is racing. Your pupils are dilated. You're leaning into me instead of away. Your body knows what you want, even if your mind won't admit it. She was. God, she was leaning into him, drawn by his warmth and certainty, and the promise of safety in a world that had never felt safe. I need time, she whispered, to think, to process. Take it. Alessandro stepped back, and the loss of his warmth felt like abandonment. Take the contract home. Read it carefully. Ask questions. But Emma, his eyes pinned her. I'm not a patient man by nature. I'm trying for you. Don't make me wait too long. Emma grabbed the contract with shaking hands. I should go. Marco will drive you. I can take the subway. No, goodbye. Absolute. Final. It's late. You'll take the car. She should argue, should assert independence. But the subway at night from Tribeca to Bushwick was a different kind of dangerous, and she was already drowning in more danger than she could handle. Alessandro walked her to the elevator, his hand on the small of her back burning through silk. At the doors, he caught her wrist. Emma. She turned. He was so close she could see gold flecks in his dark eyes. When you're lying in bed tonight, thinking about this about me, remember something. His voice dropped to a whisper. I've been alone my entire life. Surrounded by people, but utterly alone. Then you collapsed into my arms and looked at me like I mattered. Like I was more than my name or my money. Do you understand what that means to someone like me? Alessandro, it means I won't let you go easily. It means I'll fight for this for you harder than I've fought for anything. So take your time. Think carefully. But know that I'm already yours whether you choose me or not. Then he kissed her. Soft, devastating a promise and a threat in one. His hand tangled in her hair, holding her captive as his mouth moved over hers with practiced skill. Emma gasped and he deepened the kiss, claiming her with a thoroughness that left her dizzy. When he pulled back, she couldn't breathe. Now go, he whispered against her lips, before I stop being a gentleman. Emma stumbled into the elevator. The doors closed on his face, dark eyes burning with possession and promise. She slumped against the wall, fingers touching her kiss-swollen lips, heart hammering so hard she thought it might break through her ribs. Marco drove her home in silence. Emma stared at the contract in her lap, seeing nothing but Alessandro's face, his words echoing in her head. His kiss branded on her lips. Her phone buzzed. You taste like hope and honey. I'm already counting the hours until I see you again. She should tell him to stop, should establish boundaries, should think rationally. You can't say things like that, she typed. Why not? Because it makes it harder to think clearly. Good. I don't want you thinking clearly. I want you feeling, wanting, needing the way I need you. Emma's hands trembled. This is insane. Yes, beautifully, perfectly insane. Sleep well, Tesoro. Dream of me. She did dream of him. Dark eyes and dangerous promises and hands that held her like she was precious. She woke, gasping sheets, tangled body aching with want she'd never felt before. Her phone showed 3 a.m. and a text from Alessandro sent an hour ago. I can't sleep. I keep thinking about how you tasted, how you felt in my arms, how your pulse jumped when I touched you. I want to know all your secrets, Emma. Every fear, every desire. I want you to trust me with the parts of yourself you hide from everyone else. She shouldn't respond, shouldn't encourage this, but her fingers moved before sense could stop them. I'm scared of you. Good. Fear keeps you honest. What else I'm scared of? Wanting this. Of wanting you. Of losing myself. You won't lose yourself. I won't let you. What else? Emma stared at her phone, heart hammering. I'm scared I'm not enough, that you'll get bored, that this is just a game to you. The response came immediately. It's not a game. You're not a game. And you're more than enough, Tesoro. You're everything. You don't know me well enough to say that. Then let me know you have breakfast with me. Tomorrow, let me show you who I really am. Alessandro, please, one breakfast. If you still want to run after, I won't stop you. Emma closed her eyes. This was madness, but she was already falling, already caught in his gravity. Okay, one breakfast, my place, 8 a.m. I'll send Marco. I can take the subway. Emma, don't fight me on this. Let me take care of you. The words hit something deep inside her. Let me take care of you. She'd been taking care of herself for so long, fighting so hard, that the idea of someone else shouldering the burden felt like a drug. 8 a.m. she typed, but just breakfast. Then I need space to think. Whatever you need, sleep now. Tomorrow I'll feed you properly. Emma set her phone down, but sleep wouldn't come. She got up, went to her easel, stared at the painting of Alessandro she'd finished. In the dark of her apartment, his shadow seemed alive, watching her, claiming her. She picked up a brush, added details she'd missed. The hard line of his jaw, the way his hands had held her, possessive but gentle. The darkness in his eyes that matched her own. By the time the sun rose, she'd created something raw and real. A portrait of a man who terrified and attracted her in equal measure. A man who saw her clearly and wanted her anyway. Her phone buzzed at 7. Marco leaves in 30 minutes. Be ready. Emma showered, changed into jeans and a sweater, her clothes not Sarah's. If Alessandro wanted her, he'd get the real her. Paint-stained and broke and messy, Marco arrived exactly on time. The drive to Tribeca passed in a blur. Emma's stomach twisted with nerves and anticipation. The elevator opened directly into Alessandro's apartment. He stood at the windows, coffee in hand, suit already perfect, even though it was barely 8 a.m. When he turned, his eyes dragged over her casual clothes, and something like approval crossed his face. Good, he said. I was afraid you'd try to be someone you're not. This is who I am. Emma lifted her chin. If that's not enough, it's perfect. He set down his coffee, moved toward her. You're perfect. Come. Breakfast is ready. He'd made everything himself, eggs, bacon, fresh fruit pastries that smelled like heaven. They ate on his balcony overlooking the city, morning sun turning everything golden. Tell me about your family, Alessandro said between bites. Why because I want to know everything about you. Start with family. Emma sighed. Middle class, Kansas. They think art is a hobby, not a career. They wanted me to be a teacher, something practical. They don't support your dreams. They support me. They just don't understand me. Emma pushed eggs around her plate. What about your family? Alessandro's expression shuddered. Complicated. My father built an empire. Expected me to be grateful for inheriting it. He doesn't understand that I want to build something of my own, something clean. The art collection. Among other things. But yes, art is mine. Not tainted by my father's choices. He met her gaze. Until I collected masterpieces. Dead artists, safe investments. You're the first living artist I've wanted to claim. Why me? Because you create from pain instead of technique. Because you don't care about impressing people. You just create, honestly, fearlessly. He reached across the table, took her hand. I want that fearlessness, Emma. I want to protect it, nurture it, make sure the world doesn't crush it out of you. Tears stung her eyes. You make it sound like a crusade. It is. You're worth fighting for, even if you don't see it yet. His thumb stroked her knuckles. Sign the contract. Let me show you what your life could be. Emma pulled her hand back. I need to ask you something, and I need the truth. Always. Your father, the investigations, the rumors about organized crime, are they true? Alessandro's face went cold, hard. For a moment, Emma saw the dangerous man beneath the charm. My father made choices I don't agree with, built relationships I've spent 10 years distancing myself from. But I am not my father, Emma. I run legitimate businesses. I follow the law. I've cut ties with anyone questionable. He leaned forward. But I won't lie, my name carries weight, some of it dark. If you sign with me, people will talk, make assumptions. It will be uncomfortable. Will I be in danger? No, absolute certainty. I will protect you with everything I have. Anyone who touches you answers to me, and they know better than to cross me. The possessiveness in his voice should have terrified her. Instead, it made her feel safe in a way she'd never felt before. I'll sign, Emma heard herself say, but I have conditions. Name them. I paint what I want. You don't control subject matter. Agreed. I keep my apartment, my independence. I'm not moving in with you or becoming your kept woman. Pain flickered across his face. Agreed, though I reserve the right to try to change your mind. And we take things slow. Whatever this is between us, it goes at my pace. Alessandro stood, came around the table, pulled her to her feet. His hands framed her face. I'll try, but Emma, I've never wanted anything the way I want you. Patience isn't my strong suit. Learn, she whispered. He kissed her, then hard and demanding, claiming her mouth with a thoroughness that left her gasping. When he pulled back, his eyes burned. Sign the contract. Then I'm taking you to my gallery. I want to show you where your work will hang, where the world will finally see you the way I do. Emma signed with shaking hands. The moment her pen left the paper, she felt it a shift, a change. Her life splitting into before and after Alessandro Russo. He made a call. Within minutes, his lawyer appeared, witnessed the signatures, took the contract away. It's done, Alessandro said quietly. You're mine now, professionally. His hand cupped her face. Soon, I hope, in every other way. Emma's heart hammered. You're terrifying. I know, but you're here anyway. He pressed his lips to her forehead. Come, let me show you your future. They took his car, him, driving this time a sleek black sports car that cost more than Emma would make in a decade. The gallery was in Chelsea, all glass and light and carefully curated beauty. Inside, Alessandro led her through rooms filled with masterpieces. Then he stopped before a wall, empty, waiting. This is yours, he said, your space, your wall. Whatever you create, this is where it lives until I buy it and take it home. Emma stared at the empty white expanse. Her wall, her future. I don't know what to paint, she whispered. Yes, you do. Alessandro stood behind her, his breath warm on her neck. Paint us, this moment. The terror and the wanting and the leap into something unknown. That sounds dangerous, I know. But the best art comes from danger, doesn't it? His arms wrapped around her waist. Paint me the truth, Emma. Paint what you're too scared to say out loud. She turned in his arms. What if the truth is that I'm falling for you, that I want this even though it terrifies me, that I think about you constantly and I don't know if that's real or just... He kissed her quiet, soft this time, tender. It's real. I feel it too. This pull, this certainty that you're mine and I'm yours and nothing else matters. How can you be so sure? Because I've never felt this before. Never wanted to protect and possess and cherish someone all at once. Never met someone who sees my darkness and doesn't run. His forehead rested against hers. Paint it, tesoro. Paint this. Whatever it becomes, I'll buy it. I'll treasure it. I'll hang it in my home and remember the moment you became mine. Emma kissed him, poured all her fear and want and hope into it. When they finally broke apart, she was shaking. I need to go home, she managed. I need to paint. Marco will drive you. Whatever you need for supplies, buy it. Send me the receipts. Alessandro. No arguments. You're my artist now. Your success is my success. Now go create something beautiful. He kissed her once more. Call me when you're done. I want to be the first to see it. The drive home passed in a haze. Emma barely remembered climbing the stairs to her apartment, but once inside, surrounded by her paints and canvases, and the familiar smell of turpentine, clarity hit. She knew exactly what to paint. She worked for 12 hours straight, didn't eat, didn't sleep, just painted with a fury and focus she'd never felt before. The canvas came alive, two figures entwined, shadow and light, safety and danger. Everything she felt for Alessandro rendered in oil and emotion. When she finally stepped back, her phone showed 2 a.m. The painting was finished, raw, devastating, honest. She photographed it with shaking hands, sent it to Alessandro. His call came within seconds. Emma. His voice was rough, emotional. It's God, it's perfect. It's us, she whispered. The truth. I'm coming over. It's 2 a.m. I don't care. I need to see it in person. I need to see you. He hung up. Emma stared at her phone, heart hammering. 20 minutes later, a knock. She opened the door. Alessandro stood there in the hallway, still in his suit from this morning, eyes wild. Show me, he demanded. Emma led him inside. He stopped before the canvas, stared at it in silence. 1 minute. 2. Then he turned to her and the look on his face stole her breath. This is what you feel, he asked quietly. Yes. The danger, the wanting, His voice cracked. The love. Emma's heart stopped. I didn't say love. You painted it. He moved toward her. Every brushstroke screams it. You love me. Even though you barely know me, even though it terrifies you. You love me. Alessandro, say it. I need to hear you say it. I can't. Emma, he cupped her face. I'm in love with you. I have been since you collapsed in my arms and looked at me like I was human. So please, please tell me I'm not alone in this. Tears streamed down her face. You're not alone. I love you. God help me. I love you, and it's insane and too fast, and I don't care anymore because you're everything. He kissed her, deep and claiming and full of promise. When he pulled back, he rested his forehead against hers. Mine, he whispered. You're mine now, tesoro, and I'm never letting you go. Emma believed him, and for the first time in her life, she wasn't afraid. Alessandro didn't leave that night, or the next morning, or the day after that. Emma woke tangled in sheets that smelled like him, her small apartment transformed by his presence. He'd taken over her kitchen, made coffee in her ancient percolator, somehow made toast without burning it despite her temperamental toaster. When she stumbled out of her bedroom, he was on the phone speaking rapid Italian, pacing her tiny living room like a caged panther. He saw her and his expression softened. Ti chiamo dopo, he said into the phone, then hung up without waiting for a response. You didn't have to stay, Emma said, though part of her had been terrified she'd wake alone, that the whole thing had been a fever dream. I wanted to. He pulled her against him, kissed the top of her head. Besides, your landlord came by at 6 a.m. demanding rent. I paid him for the next 6 months. Emma's stomach dropped. You what? 6 months. I would have paid more, but he seemed suspicious. Alessandro's tone was casual, like he hadn't just thrown away thousands of dollars. You need to focus on painting, not worrying about rent. Alessandro, I can't accept. You already did. It's done. He tilted her chin up. Don't fight me on this, Tesoro. Let me take care of you. I'm not your charity case. No, you're the woman I love. There's a difference. He kissed her before she could argue. Now get dressed. We have an appointment. What appointment? You'll see. An hour later, Marco pulled up to a building in Soho. Not a gallery, a studio. Massive windows, northern light flooding through glass, enough space for a dozen artists. What is this? Emma asked as Alessandro led her inside. Yours, if you want it. He unlocked a door, pushed it open. The space beyond was 3 times the size of her apartment, empty except for top-of-the-line easels, a wall of storage for supplies, and windows that made her heart ache with their perfect light. I can't afford this, Emma whispered. I can. It's part of your contract. Studio space supplies everything you need. Alessandro watched her face carefully. You can't create in that apartment, Emma. Not properly. Here you have room to breathe, to work, to become who you're meant to be. Emma walked through the space, touching easels, testing the light. It was perfect. Too perfect. What's the catch? No catch. Just paint for me. Create the way you were meant to. He came up behind her arms, wrapping around her waist. Let me give you this, please. She should refuse, should maintain independence, but the space called to her like a siren song. Okay? But I'm paying you back someday, if it makes you feel better. His lips brushed her neck, though I'd rather you paid me in paintings. They christened the studio that afternoon. Alessandro spread his jacket on the paint-splattered floor, pulled her down, made love to her with the city watching through massive windows. Emma felt exposed and free and terrified all at once. Afterward, lying in his arms, she traced the tattoo she discovered on his ribs, Roman numerals she didn't understand. What does it mean, she asked. Alessandro's body tensed. The date I became free, the day I told my father I was done with his world. When was that? 10 years ago. I was 28. He wanted me to take over certain aspects of the family business. I refused. We haven't spoken since. Emma pushed up on her elbow, studied his face. You gave up your family for this, for your independence. I gave up a lie for the truth. My father built an empire on fear and violence. I wanted no part of it. His hand cupped her face. I built my own empire, clean, legal, but the name still follows me. People still assume. Do you regret it? Every day. His smile was bitter, and not at all, because it led me here, to you, to something real instead of inherited poison. Emma kissed him, soft, understanding. I'm glad you chose yourself. I chose freedom, and now I choose you. He rolled her onto her back, settled between her thighs. Every day, Emma, I choose you. They made love again, slower this time, tender. When Emma finally got up to paint, Alessandro watched from the corner, making calls, running his empire from her new studio like it was the most natural thing in the world. Emma painted him. Again. Couldn't seem to stop painting him. This version was different, vulnerable. The hard edges softened by afternoon light. She worked until her hands cramped, until Alessandro ordered food, until the sun set, and the city lights turned the studio into something magical. It's beautiful, he said, studying the canvas. But you've made me look too human, Emma set down her brush. That's because you are Under all the money and power and control, you're just a man who wants to be seen. Alessandro pulled her close, buried his face in her neck. You see too much. Is that a problem? It's terrifying and perfect. He breathed her in. I've spent 10 years building walls. You knocked them down in 3 days. Emma's phone rang. Sarah. She'd been ignoring calls for 2 days, too caught up in Alessandro's gravity to surface. Answer it, Alessandro said. I need to make calls anyway. Emma stepped into the hallway. Hey. Hey. Sarah's voice was sharp. You've been gone for 2 days. I was about to file a missing persons report. Are you okay? Are you safe? Did the billionaire turn out to be a serial killer? I'm fine, better than fine. Emma struggled for words. Sarah, I think I'm in love with him. Silence. Then, it's been 3 days. I know. 3 days, and you're in love with a man you don't know. I know him. Emma leaned against the wall. I know he's complicated and controlling and probably damaged beyond repair. But I know he sees me, really sees me. And when I'm with him, I feel what? Safe, wanted, like I matter. Emma's voice cracked. Is that crazy? Sarah sighed. Probably, but you've never done anything halfway. Just be careful, okay? Men like that, they're used to getting what they want. Make sure you're not just a trophy. I'm not. He loves me, Sarah. He said it. After 3 days. I know it sounds insane. It is insane, but I've never heard you this happy. Sarah paused. Just promise me you won't lose yourself. You're Emma Blake, brilliant artist, with or without him. Remember that. I will, I promise. When Emma returned to the studio, Alessandra was off the phone staring at her latest painting with an expression she couldn't read. What's wrong? She asked. My father wants to meet you. Emma's blood went cold. What? He's heard about you, about us. He wants dinner, tomorrow night. Alessandro's jaw was tight. I told him no, but he's persistent. Maybe we should go. Absolutely not. Alessandro turned to face her. You don't understand what he is, what he'll do. He'll try to use you against me, manipulate you, hurt you to hurt me. Then why does he want to meet? Because I've never brought a woman into my life before. Never let anyone close. He sees you as weakness. Alessandro gripped her shoulders. I won't let him near you, Emma. I won't let him poison this. What if I want to meet him? No, you don't control me, Alessandro. His eyes flashed. In this I do. My father is dangerous, cruel. He will destroy you just to watch me suffer. I'm not afraid of him. You should be owning. I am. The admission seemed to cost him. Emma, please, don't push this. Stay away from him. For me. Emma studied his face, the fear barely contained beneath anger. Okay, for now, but eventually I'll have to meet your family. Not him. Never him. Alessandro pulled her close. Promise me. If he contacts you, you tell me immediately. You don't engage. You don't meet him. Promise. I promise. But that night, lying in Alessandro's arms in her apartment, Emma couldn't shake the feeling that the promise was one she'd end up breaking. The next week passed in a blur of painting and passion. Alessandro spent every night at her place, refusing to let her sleep alone. He showered her with gifts she didn't need: clothes, jewelry, art supplies that cost more than cars. Emma tried to refuse, but he was relentless. Let me spoil you, he'd say, kissing away her protests. You've lived small for too long. Let me show you what life can be. Life with Alessandro was intoxicating. Private cars, dinners at restaurants with months-long waiting lists, art shows where people whispered his name with reverence and fear. He introduced her to collectors, critics, gallery owners. Pushed her work in with a fervor that was almost frightening. This is Emma Blake, he'd say, hand possessive on her waist. Remember the name. She's going to change the art world. Emma painted furiously, trying to keep up with his belief in her. Piece after piece emerged from her brushes, raw, emotional, honest. Alessandro bought them all, paid her $50,000 per painting, like he'd promised, sometimes more. Her bank account swelled. Her confidence grew, but so did the whispers. She's his mistress, Emma overheard at a gallery opening. Just another toy he'll get bored with. I heard he's setting her up. Sugar daddy situation. Poor girl. She has no idea what she's gotten into. Emma tried to ignore it, but the words burrowed under her skin made her doubt. Was she just another acquisition? Another beautiful thing for Alessandro to own? She confronted him one night after an opening where the whispers had been particularly vicious. Do you care about my art or about owning me? Alessandro's expression went cold. What kind of question is that? An honest one. People think I'm your whore, Alessandro, your kept woman, that you're buying me, not my art. Let them think what they want. I can't, Emma's voice broke. I can't be the woman who sold herself for security. I can't. You didn't sell yourself. Alessandro grabbed her wrist. You're a brilliant artist who deserves recognition. I'm giving you that. If people are too small-minded to see the difference, that's their problem. Is it because it feels like my problem when they whisper about me like I'm a prostitute? Alessandro's grip tightened. Anyone who says that will answer to me. You can't control what people think. Watch me. He pulled out his phone, made a call. Marcus, the people at tonight's opening who spoke about Emma disrespectfully. I want their names, all of them. He hung up. By tomorrow, they'll be blacklisted from every gallery in New York. Emma stared at him in horror. You can't do that? I can. I did. No one disrespects you and walks away unscathed. This is exactly what I'm talking about. You can't just destroy people for gossiping. I can when they hurt you. Alessandro's eyes were chips of ice. You're mine, Emma. Mine to protect. Mine to defend. Anyone who threatens, that learns what it means to cross me. I'm not yours to own. Aren't you? He pulled her against him. You wear the necklace I bought you. Sleep in my arms every night, paint in the studio and provide. Take money for art you create because of me. If that's not ownership, what is? Emma slapped him. Hard. The crack echoed through her apartment. Alessandro's head snapped to the side. For a moment, he didn't move. Then he looked at her, and the pain in his eyes made her chest ache. You think I'm like him? He said quietly. My father. You think I'm trying to control you the way he controlled everyone around him, and aren't you? I'm trying to protect you. His voice cracked. I'm trying to give you everything you deserve. I'm trying to love you the only way I know how. By controlling me. By keeping you safe. Alessandro's composure shattered. You don't know what it's like out there, Emma. The people who would use you to get to me. The threats. The danger. I can't. He stopped, breathed hard. I can't lose you. I can't let them hurt you the way they've hurt everyone else I've ever cared about. Who hurt you? Emma asked softly. Alessandro turned away. My mother. She was good, kind, like you. My father destroyed her, used her. When she finally tried to leave, his voice broke. He made sure she never left. Made it look like an accident. I was 18. I couldn't prove anything. Couldn't save her. Emma's heart cracked open. She went to him, wrapped her arms around him from behind. I'm so sorry. I won't let him do that to you. I won't let anyone hurt you. Alessandro turned in her arms. So yes, I'm controlling, possessive, overprotective, because I've already lost everyone I've ever loved. I can't lose you too. Emma kissed him, tasted salt, his tears, or hers she didn't know. You won't lose me, but Alessandro, you have to let me breathe. Let me make my own choices, even if they scare you. I'll try. He pulled her closer. But I'm not good at this, at trusting, at letting go. Then we'll learn together. They made love that night with desperate intensity, like they were trying to fuse themselves together. Afterward, Alessandro held her so tight she could barely breathe. I love you, he whispered into her hair, more than I've ever loved anything. It terrifies me. I know, I love you too. Emma kissed his chest, but we can't keep going like this. You can't destroy people for gossiping. You can't control every aspect of my life. What do you want from me? Space, trust, the ability to make my own mistakes. Alessandro was quiet for a long moment. What if I can't give you that? Then this won't work. The words hung between them like a guillotine. Alessandro's arms tightened fractionally, then released. He sat up, ran his hands through his hair. Fine, you want space, take it. You want to make your own choices, make them. But Emma, he looked at her, eyes haunted. When those choices put you in danger, when people try to hurt you, don't expect me to stand by and watch. I'll burn down the world to keep you safe. I'm not asking you to watch me suffer. I'm asking you to trust that I'm strong enough to handle myself. You are strong, stronger than you know. But strength doesn't protect you from bullets or poison or men like my father who see goodness as weakness to exploit. Emma's blood chilled. Bullets, Alessandro's expression shuddered. Forget I said that. No, tell me. Are you in danger? Am I? Not anymore. I've made sure of it. But my father's world, he stopped. There are people who would love to hurt me through you. That's why I'm so careful, so controlling. It's not about owning you. It's about keeping you alive. Emma sat up, pulled the sheet around her. How much danger are we talking about? Enough that you need security. I have Marco. Marco is my driver. I'm talking about real security. Bodyguards, protection detail. Alessandro reached for his phone. I should have done this weeks ago. No. Emma grabbed his wrist. I'm not living in a prison because of your father's past. Emma. No, Alessandro, I mean it. I won't be locked up and guarded like I'm made of glass. I'll be careful. I'll tell you where I'm going, but I won't give up my freedom. Your freedom means nothing if you're dead. The blunt words hit like a slap. Emma stared at him, trying to reconcile the man who made her breakfast with the man casually discussing her potential murder. Is it really that bad? She whispered. Alessandro pulled her into his arms. I hope not. I've done everything I can to distance myself, to protect you, but my father is unpredictable. And now that he knows about you, he stopped. I need you to be smart, Tesoro, aware, safe. What does he want with me? To use you, to hurt me, maybe both. Alessandro's jaw clenched. He sees you as my weakness, and he's not wrong. Emma pulled back to look at his face. I'm not your weakness. Yes, you are, and my strength, and my everything. He cupped her face. Which is why I need you to let me protect you. Please. One bodyguard, Emma conceded. Discreet. No one hovering over my shoulder constantly. 2, one for during the day, one for night. 1 Alessandro. That's the deal. His eyes searched hers, then he nodded. 1, but professional, former military, someone I trust with my life. Fine. And you check in with me, morning and night. If anything feels wrong, you call immediately. Okay. And you stay away from certain areas, the docks, certain restaurants my father frequents. Alessandro was already making lists in his head. I'll send you a map. Alessandro, stop. Emma kissed him. 1 bodyguard, check-ins, common sense. That's it. I'm not living in fear. You should be afraid. That's what keeps you alive. Fear is what keeps you imprisoned. Emma traced his jaw. I won't live like that. And I won't let you live like that anymore either. Emma, when's the last time you felt free, really free, not controlled by your father's shadow or your own fear? Alessandro was quiet. Then 3 days ago, when you told me you loved me. Emma's heart cracked. Then let's have more of that. Less fear, more trust, more life. I don't know how. We'll figure it out together. Emma kissed him again. But you have to try, Alessandro, for us. He nodded against her lips. I'll try. God help me, I'll try. The next morning, Emma met her new bodyguard, David, ex-Marine, built like a tank but surprisingly soft-spoken. He'd wait outside her studio, drive her places when Marco wasn't available, basically exist as a shadow. I won't interfere with your life, Miss Blake, David said. You'll barely know I'm there. Just Emma, please. Miss Blake makes me feel like I'm 80. David's mouth twitched. Emma, Mr. Russo gave me very specific instructions about your safety. I intend to follow them. Did he give you instructions on how to deal with me arguing? He mentioned you were stubborn, said it was one of the things he loved about you. Emma couldn't help smiling. Did he also mention he's completely overprotective and paranoid? He mentioned his father is dangerous. That's enough for me. David's expression hardened. I've seen what men like Vittorio Russo do. Mr. Russo is right to be careful. The name sent ice through Emma's veins. You know him, Vittorio. I know of him. That's enough. Emma wanted to ask more, but David's closed expression told her she wouldn't get answers. She returned to her studio, tried to paint, but her mind kept circling back to Alessandro's father, the man who'd killed his own wife, who apparently terrified everyone who knew of him. Her phone rang. Unknown number. Emma almost didn't answer, but curiosity won. Hello, Emma Blake. The voice was male older with an Italian accent thicker than Alessandro's. We haven't met, but I know all about you. Emma's blood turned to ice. Who is this Vittorio Russo, Alessandro's father? I believe it's time we talked. Her hand shook. She should hang up, should call Alessandro, should I have nothing to say to you. But I have much to say to you, Cara, about my son, about the danger you've put yourself in by loving him, about what happens to pretty girls who think they can change men like us. I'm not afraid of you, Vittorio laughed. You should be. My son tells you I'm a monster. He's not wrong. But Emma, I'm also the only one who can protect you from what's coming. What's coming? Consequences. My son thinks he can leave the family, build a clean empire, pretend the blood on his hands washed away. It doesn't work like that. And now you're caught in the middle, innocent, naive, perfect bait. Emma's heart hammered. For who? People who want to hurt Alessandro. People who will use you to get to him. People far worse than me. Vittorio's voice was almost gentle. Meet me. Let me explain what you are truly involved in. Then decide if my son's love is worth your life. Alessandro said, my son says many things, but he's kept secrets from you, hasn't he? About his past, about what he did before he walked away, about the real reason I want to meet you. Emma's mouth went dry. What reason? Because you're carrying the next Russo heir, and that changes everything. The world tilted. I can't be. Check Cara, then call me. We have much to discuss. He hung up. Emma stood frozen, phone clutched in her hand. Not pregnant. She couldn't be. They'd been careful. Mostly, except that first night in the studio and the night after. They'd been too desperate, too caught up. Oh, God. Emma ran to the bathroom, threw up. David knocked on the door. Emma, are you all right? Fine. I'm fine. Her voice shook. Just give me a minute. She needed a test, needed to know, but more than that, she needed to understand what Vittorio meant, what secrets Alessandro was keeping. Emma called Alessandro. He answered immediately. Tesoro, what's wrong? Your father called me. Silence. Then ice cold. What did he say? That we need to talk, that you're keeping secrets, that I'm. She couldn't say it. Alessandro, what does he know that I don't? Nothing. He's manipulating you. Don't listen to him. Then tell me the truth. All of it. What did you do before you left his world? Another pause. Too long. Emma. The truth, Alessandro, now. He breathed out slowly. Come to my place. Tonight. I'll tell you everything, but not over the phone, please. Emma closed her eyes. Okay. Tonight. She hung up, stared at herself in the mirror. Her hand drifted to her stomach. Flat. Normal. But maybe, no. She'd take a test, know for sure. Then she'd face Alessandro and his secrets and whatever truth had been hiding beneath their whirlwind love. David drove her to a pharmacy. Emma bought 3 tests, took them in the pharmacy bathroom because she couldn't wait. All 3 showed the same result. Positive. Emma stared at the plastic sticks, her whole world reshaping itself around 2 pink lines. Pregnant, with Alessandro's child, after 3 weeks. 3 insane, passionate, reckless weeks. She was going to be sick again. David said nothing on the drive to Alessandro's penthouse, but his expression was knowing. Like he'd guessed. Like everyone would guess soon enough. The elevator ride felt like climbing to an execution. When the doors opened, Alessandro was waiting. He took one look at her face and went pale. Emma, what did he say to you? She pulled out the pregnancy test, handed it to him. Alessandro stared at it, then at her, then back at the test. You're pregnant. Yes. He swayed, actually swayed. Emma grabbed his arm, led him to the couch before he fell. Say something, she whispered. Alessandro looked up at her, and the expression on his face was equal parts terror and wonder. You're carrying my child. Yes. My father knows. He told me. How does he know Alessandro? How could he possibly know before I did? Alessandro's face went hard. He has people everywhere, watching, reporting. He probably had your apartment bugged, your phone tapped. He stood, pulled out his phone. I'm going to kill him. No, first you're going to tell me the truth, all of it, what you did for him, why you left, what danger I'm really in. Emma's voice shook. I'm carrying your child, Alessandro. I deserve to know what world I'm bringing them into. Alessandro set down his phone, looked at her with eyes that held decades of pain. You're right, you deserve the truth. All of it. Even if it makes you leave me. I'm not going anywhere. Don't promise that yet. You don't know what I've done. Emma sat beside him, took his hand. Then tell me, and let me decide if I can handle it. Alessandro took a shuddering breath and began to speak. I killed 3 men before I turned 25. The words hung in the air between them. Emma's hand tightened on Alessandro's, but she didn't pull away. Didn't run. She just waited. My father's business wasn't just legitimate companies with questionable connections. It was blood and violence dressed in expensive suits. Alessandro's voice was flat, emotionless, the tone of a man confessing sins he'd buried deep. He raised me to be his heir, his weapon. From the time I was 16, I was learning how to hurt people, how to make them disappear. Emma's stomach churned, but she forced herself to breathe. The 3 men. What did they do? The first one tried to kill my father. I was 22. He pulled a gun at a meeting. I was faster. Alessandro's jaw clenched. The second one was beating his wife to death. My father didn't care, but I couldn't watch it anymore. So I stopped him. Permanently. And the third, Alessandro's eyes met hers and the pain there made her chest ache. The third one was my father's accountant. He was going to testify against the family. My father ordered me to handle it, to prove my loyalty. His voice cracked. I was 24. I wanted out, wanted to be clean. But he said if I didn't do it, he'd know I was weak, that I'd turned against him. So you did it. I made it look like an accident. Quick, painless. Then I went home and threw up for 3 hours. Alessandro's hands shook. The next day I told my father I was done, that I wanted no part of his world. He laughed, said I was already part of it. That blood doesn't wash off. Emma's hand moved to her stomach without thinking. Did he threaten you? He threatened everyone I loved. Said if I walked away, he'd make sure I suffered. He killed my mother 2 weeks later. Made it look like a car accident, but I knew. Everyone knew. Alessandro stood paced to the windows. So I waited, built my own empire. Made myself powerful enough that he couldn't touch me. And for 10 years we had an understanding. He stayed in his world. I stayed in mine. Until me. Until you. Alessandro turned to face her. You're the first person I've loved since my mother. The first weakness he can exploit. And now you're carrying my child. The next generation. The heir he's always wanted. Emma's blood ran cold. He'll try to take the baby. He'll try to take everything. You, the child, my empire. He sees this as his chance to pull me back in. To use you as leverage. Alessandro crossed to her, knelt before her. That's why I'm so controlling Emma. So paranoid. Because I know what he's capable of. And I won't let him hurt you the way he hurt her. Tears streamed down Emma's face. Why didn't you tell me before? Because I was a coward. Because I thought if you didn't know you'd be safer. And because, his voice broke, because I was terrified you'd leave me if you knew what I'd done. What I am. What you were, Amawa corrected. She cupped his face, made him look at her. You were 24, trapped, manipulated by a monster. What you did doesn't define who you are now. Doesn't it? I still have blood on my hands, Tesoro. It doesn't matter how much I've changed. Those men are still dead because of me. Did they deserve it? Alessandro flinched. What? The first one tried to kill your father. The second was a murderer himself. The third? Emma paused. The third was innocent. He was going to destroy the family. Put dozens of people in prison. Some of them deserved it. Some didn't. Alessandro's shoulders sagged. I don't know if he deserved to die, but I killed him anyway. Emma says that Ione was quiet for a long moment processing. Then I'm not going to pretend that's okay, that what you did was right. But I understand why you did it, and I understand why you left. She took his hands. The question is, can you live with what you did? Can you move forward? I've been trying for 10 years. And are you succeeding? Alessandro looked at her, really looked at her. I was. Until you. Now I'm terrified again, because I have something to lose. Then we protect it, together. Emma's hand moved to her stomach. This baby, our future, We fight for it. My father won't make it easy. I don't care. Emma's voice was steel. I'm not losing you. I'm not losing this child. And I'm not running from a man who thinks he can control us through fear. Alessandro pulled her into his arms, held her so tight she could barely breathe. I love you. God, I love you so much it terrifies me. I love you too, even knowing everything, even scared. Emma pulled back to look at him. But Alessandro, no more secrets. If we're doing this, raising a child, building a life, I need to know everything. Even the ugly parts. There's more ugly than pretty. I don't care, tell me. So he did. For the next 2 hours, Alessandro laid bare his past, the violence he'd witnessed, the deals he'd made to separate himself from his father's world, the threats that still came occasionally, the enemies who would love nothing more than to see him fall. Emma listened to all of it, didn't flinch, didn't judge, just absorbed the truth of the man she loved, complicated damage, trying desperately to be better than his raising. When he finally finished, dawn was breaking over the city. Emma was exhausted, emotionally wrung out. But she was also certain. We need a plan, she said. Your father knows about the baby. He'll make a move. I know. Alessandro's face was grim. He already has. The phone call was the opening gambit. Now he'll wait to see if you come to him. What if I do? Absolutely not. Alessandro's grip tightened. Emma, you can't. What if I meet him? Find out what he wants. Buy us time to figure out our next move. He'll hurt you, use you, fill your head with lies about me. Then I'll know they're lies because so you've already told me the truth. Emma's eyes were fierce. I'm not helpless, Alessandro. Let me do this. No, I won't risk you. You don't get to decide. Emma stood paced. I'm carrying your child. That makes me a target whether we like it or not. At least if I meet him, we control the narrative. We show him I'm not afraid. But you should be afraid. Alessandro stood too, grabbed her shoulders. Emma, my father is a monster, a manipulator. He'll say whatever it takes to turn you against me, to make you doubt, to break us apart so he can swoop in and take control. Then we don't let him. Emma's hands covered his. We go in prepared. We record the conversation. We make sure David and Marco are close by. But Alessandro, we can't hide from him forever. Eventually we have to face this. Alessandro closed his eyes, warring with himself. If I say yes, and that's a massive if we do this my way, my terms, my location, somewhere public enough he can't hurt you, but private enough we can talk. Okay, and I'm there, listening, ready to intervene if he threatens you. He'll know you're there. I don't care. You don't face him alone. Alessandro's voice was final. That's the deal. Take it or leave it. Emma kissed him. I'll take it. They spent the morning planning. Alessandro made calls, arranged a meeting at a restaurant he owned public, but with private rooms he could monitor. He had the space swept for bugs, cameras installed, security tripled. By the time Emma called Vittorio back, Alessandro had built a fortress. I'll meet you, Emma said when Vittorio answered, but on my terms, tomorrow, noon, Russo's in Midtown. Vittorio laughed. My son's restaurant, of course. Afraid to meet somewhere neutral. Afraid you'll try something if we do. Smart girl. I can see why Alessandro loves you. Vittorio's voice turned serious. But Emma Cara, you should know. What I have to tell you about my son, it will change everything. Are you sure you want to know? I already know what he did, who he was. He told me everything. Silence, then. He told you about the murders? Yes. About his time in Sicily, the families he destroyed when he walked away. Emma's stomach dropped. What families? Vittorio's smile was audible. Ah, so he didn't tell you everything after all. Tomorrow, Cara, we'll talk about what my son really did when he betrayed his blood. The line went dead. Emma stood frozen, phone clutched in her hand. Alessandro appeared in the doorway, took one look at her face and went pale. What did he say? He said you destroyed families when you left. In Sicily? What is he talking about? Alessandro's face went blank. Carefully blank. It's not what you think. Then what is it? Emma's voice rose. You said no more secrets. It wasn't a secret. It was, Alessandro ran his hands through his hair. It was collateral damage. People got hurt when I left. But I didn't destroy anyone. Who got hurt? Business partners. People who depended on my father's empire. When I pulled my support, some of them He stopped. Some of them lost everything. Lost everything or lost their lives. Alessandro's silence was answer enough. Emma sat down hard. How many? I don't know. 5, maybe 6. My father retaliated against anyone he thought had helped me. Made examples of them. Alessandro knelt before her. But I didn't kill them, Emma. I didn't order their deaths. I walked away. And he made them pay for it. That's not better. Emma's voice shook. Don't you see those people died because of you? Because of your choice. I know. Alessandro's eyes were haunted. I live with that every day. But what was my alternative? Stay, become him. Let him turn me into a monster. You could have protected them, warned them, something. I tried, some listened, most didn't. They thought my father would forgive me. Come around, they were wrong. Alessandro gripped her hands. Emma, I'm not proud of what happened, but I can't change it. All I can do is try to be better, try to build something clean from the ashes. Emma pulled her hands away. I need air. I need to think. Emma, don't, just give me space, please. She grabbed her coat, headed for the elevator. Alessandro followed. You're not going alone. David can follow me, but I need space from you right now. The hurt on Alessandro's face was devastating, but he nodded, stepped back. Be safe, please. Emma didn't answer, just got in the elevator, watched the doors close on his broken expression. David was waiting in the lobby. He didn't ask questions, just followed her outside. Emma walked without direction, trying to process everything. The murders Alessandro had committed, the families destroyed when he left, the baby growing inside her, the meeting tomorrow with a man who clearly wanted to destroy everything she and Alessandro were building. Her phone rang. Sarah. Hey, Emma answered. Bad time. I'm coming over, now. You sound like you're about to break. I'm fine. Emma Blake, I've known you for 5 years. You're not fine. Where are you? Emma looked around, realized she'd walked to Central Park without thinking. The park, near Bethesda Fountain. Stay there. I'm 20 minutes away. Sarah arrived in 15, took one look at Emma's face and pulled her into a hug. What happened? Everything poured out. The pregnancy, Alessandro's past, his father's threats, the meeting tomorrow, all of it tumbling out in a desperate rush. Sarah listened without interrupting. When Emma finally ran out of words, Sarah pulled back. Okay, first, are you safe right now, this minute? Yes, David's here. Emma gestured at her bodyguard, who'd positioned himself a discreet distance away. Alessandro made sure of it. Good. Second, do you love him? Still after everything. Emma closed her eyes. Yes, God help me, yes. Then you have to decide if you can live with his past, not forget it, not excuse it, but live with it. Sarah gripped Emma's shoulders. Because that baby you're carrying, that child deserves parents who are all in, not half in, wondering if they made the right choice. I don't know if I can live with it. Yes, you do. You've already decided. You're just scared to admit it. Sarah's eyes were fierce. You love him. You're having his baby. You're in this whether you want to be or not. The question is, are you going to fight for him or let his father destroy what you've built? He killed people, Sarah, in a world that gave him no choice. And then he walked away. Spent 10 years building something better, something clean. Sarah's voice softened. I'm not saying what he did was right, but I am saying people can change. The question is, do you believe he has? Emma thought about Alessandro, the way he looked at her, protected her, loved her with a ferocity that was almost frightening. The way he'd laid bare his darkest secrets because she'd asked. The way he was terrified of losing her. Yes, she whispered. I believe he's changed. Then go back to him. Forgive him. And tomorrow you face his father together. Emma hugged Sarah tight. When did you get so wise? When my best friend fell in love with a complicated billionaire and needed someone to talk sense into her. Sarah pulled back, smiled. Now go. He's probably losing his mind. Sarah was right. When Emma returned to the penthouse, Alessandro was pacing like a caged animal. He spun when the elevator opened, relief and fear warring on his face. Emma, she walked straight to him, wrapped her arms around him. I'm sorry I ran. I'm sorry I made you doubt. You have nothing to apologize for. I should have told you everything from the beginning. You told me when I asked, that's enough. Emma pulled back to look at him. I'm scared, Alessandro. terrified of what tomorrow brings, of raising a child in your world, but I'm more terrified of losing you. You won't lose me, I promise. Alessandro's hands framed her face. Whatever happens tomorrow, we face it together. Together, Emma agreed. They spent the rest of the day preparing. Alessandro briefed her on his father, his tactics, his tells, the ways he'd try to manipulate. Emma practiced staying calm, not reacting, maintaining control. By the time they went to bed, she was exhausted. Alessandro held her close, his hand resting protectively on her still flat stomach. I'm going to be a father, he whispered into the darkness. Yes. I don't know how. My father was a monster. What if I become him? Emma rolled to face him. You won't, because you're already asking the question, already worried about it. That's the difference. I want to be good for this child, good for you. Then you will be. Emma kissed him softly. We'll figure it out together, one day at a time. They made love slowly, tenderly, like they were sealing a promise. Afterward, Emma lay in Alessandro's arms and tried not to think about tomorrow, about facing the man who'd shaped Alessandro into a weapon and then punished him for walking away. But sleep was elusive. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw Vittorio's face imagined from Alessandro's descriptions. Cold eyes, cruel smile, a man who'd killed his own wife and felt no remorse. At 3 a.m., Emma gave up on sleep. She got up, went to the living room, stared out at the city. Alessandro found her there 10 minutes later. Can't sleep, can't stop thinking about tomorrow. Alessandro pulled her into his arms. We can cancel, tell him we're not coming. That won't make him go away. No, but it would give us more time. Emma shook her head. Time for what? To run, hide. I'm not living my life in fear of your father. You're braver than I am. I'm terrified, but I'm also angry. Emma turned in his arms. He killed your mother, tried to turn you into a monster, and now he wants to control our child. Our future. I won't let him. Alessandro's expression turned fierce. Then we fight. Tomorrow. We show him he has no power over us anymore. What if he does? Then we deal with it. Together. Alessandro's hands moved to her stomach. This child is ours, not his. He doesn't get to claim any part of our family. Emma covered his hands with hers. Promise me something. Anything. No matter what he says tomorrow, no matter what lies he tells you, won't let him come between us. Never. You're mine, Emma, and I'm yours. Nothing changes that. They stood there as the sun rose over the city, holding each other, gathering strength for the battle ahead. At 11:30, they arrived at Russo's. The restaurant was closed for lunch. Alessandro had made sure of it. Just his security, his staff, and a private room where Vittorio would be waiting. Emma wore a simple dress, minimal makeup. She wanted to look strong, not like she was trying to impress. Alessandro was in full armor, custom suit, cold expression, the dangerous man he'd been before she softened him. Remember, he said as they walked to the private room, don't let him bait you. Don't react to anything he says. Just listen. Gather information. Then we leave. And if he threatens us, Alessandro's smile was sharp, then he learns what I'm capable of when someone threatens my family. David opened the door to the private room. And there he was, Vittorio Russo. He looked like Alessandro might in 30 years. Same dark eyes, same sharp features. But where Alessandro's face held warmth when he looked at Emma, Vittorio's held only calculation. Emma. He stood, moved toward her. Finally, the woman who captured my son's heart. Emma held her ground as he took her hand, kissed it. His touch made her skin crawl. Mr. Russo. Vittorio, please. We're family now, or we will be when my grandchild is born. His eyes dropped to her stomach. A boy, I hope. The Russo line needs strong males. We don't know yet, Emma said, pulling her hand away. No matter, boy or girl, there'll be a Russo. That's what matters. Vittorio gestured to the table. Sit. Let's talk about the future, about what happens now that you're carrying the next generation. Alessandro's hand tightened on Emma's back. They sat across from Vittorio, Alessandro's body angled protectively toward Emma. Say what you came to say, Alessandro said coldly, then leave us alone. So hostile. Is this how you greet your father? Vittorio smiled. But I understand. You think I'm here to threaten, to manipulate, to take what's yours. Aren't you? No, Vittorio leaned back. I'm here to offer you a deal, a way out of this mess you've created. Emma's heart hammered. What deal? Vittorio's eyes fixed on her. You leave my son. Disappear. I'll give you $5 million. Enough to raise the child anywhere you want. Anywhere Alessandro can't find you. The room went silent. Emma felt Alessandro tense beside her, felt the violence barely leashed. And if I refuse, Emma asked quietly. Vittorio's smile turned cruel. Then you'll learn what happens to people who get between a Russo and his legacy. That child you're carrying, it's mine. My blood. My heir. And I will do whatever it takes to claim it. Alessandro moved so fast Emma barely saw it. 1 second he was seated. The next he had Vittorio pinned against the wall, forearm across his throat. You threaten her again, Alessandro growled, and I'll forget you're my father. I'll forget every promise I made to myself about being better. And I'll show you exactly what 10 years of controlled rage looks like. Vittorio smiled even with Alessandro choking him. There he is, my son, my weapon. You can pretend to be civilized, Alessandro, but you're still mine, still violent, still capable of murder when pushed. Yes, I am, so don't push me. Alessandro released him, stepped back. Emma is mine, the child is mine. You get no claim, no access, no part of our lives. That's not your choice. Yes, it is. Emma stood, moved to Alessandro's side. I'm not leaving him, I'm not taking your money, and you're not getting anywhere near our child. Vittorio's expression hardened. You think you can deny me? You're nobody, Cara. A broke artist who got lucky. You have no power, no protection, no idea what you're dealing with. I have him. Emma's hand found Alessandro's. That's all the protection I need. He couldn't protect his mother. What makes you think he can protect you? The words hit like a physical blow. Alessandro flinched and Emma felt rage surge through her. You killed her, Emma said quietly. Your own wife. Because she wanted to leave you. Because she was good and kind and you couldn't stand it. I freed her from weakness. Vittorio's smile was cold. Just like I'll free you, one way or another. Is that a threat? It's a promise. You have 24 hours to take my offer. After that, I stop being generous. Vittorio moved toward the door. Think carefully, Emma. $5 million in your life. Or my son and everything that comes with him. Danger, violence, blood. Choose wisely. He left. The door clicked shut behind him. Emma's legs gave out. Alessandro caught her, held her as she shook. He's going to try to kill me, Emma whispered. No, he won't get close enough. Alessandro's voice was steel. I'm ending this. Tonight. Before he can hurt you. What are you going to do? Alessandro's eyes met hers, and what she saw there made her blood run cold. What I should have done 10 years ago. I'm going to destroy him. You can't kill your own father. Emma's voice cut through the rage emanating from Alessandro like a knife. They were back in his penthouse, the city sprawling below them, and he was pacing like a predator, ready to strike. Watch me. Alessandro's hands clenched into fists. He threatened you. Threatened our child. I won't let him breathe the same air as you for another day. And then what? You become exactly what he raised you to be. A murderer. Emma moved in front of him, forced him to stop. That's what he wants, Alessandro. To drag you back down. To prove you're still his weapon. I don't care what he wants. I care about keeping you alive. By becoming him, Emma's hands gripped his face. Listen to me. If you kill him, you'll never be free. You'll spend the rest of your life looking over your shoulder. Our child will grow up with a father in prison or worse. Is that what you want? Alessandro's jaw worked. What I want is you safe. And as long as he's alive, you're not. Then we find another way. Emma's voice was steady even though her heart was hammering. We outsmart him. We use the law. The law can't touch him. I've tried for 10 years. He's untouchable. No one is untouchable. Emma pulled out her phone. What if we record him? Get him to confess to your mother's murder. To the threats against me. He's too smart for that. Is he? Because he just threatened me in your restaurant, with your security watching, with cameras recording. His eyes were fierce. He's arrogant, Alessandro. He thinks he's already won. We use that against him. Alessandro stared at her. Then he pulled out his phone, made a call. Marcus, the meeting today. Tell me we got audio. He listened. His expression shifted from rage to something sharper, more dangerous. Send it to my lawyer, all of it. Every threat, every implication. He hung up. You're right. He got sloppy. We have him threatening you, claiming ownership of our child, implying violence. Is it enough? For a restraining order, maybe. For an arrest. Alessandro's smile was cold. Not unless we can connect it to actual crimes, and Vittorio's too careful for that. Emma's mind raced. What about the families in Sicily, the ones who died when you left? If we could prove he ordered those deaths. We can't. He used intermediaries. Always does. There's no trail back to him. There's always a trail. We just have to find it. Emma grabbed his hands. Do you still have contacts in that world? People who might talk? Most of them are dead or too scared. But not all of them. Alessandro's eyes narrowed. There's one. My father's former consigliere. He retired 5 years ago. Disappeared to Florida. If anyone knows where the bodies are buried, it's him. Then we go to Florida. We convince him to talk. Emma, he won't. My father would kill his entire family if he betrayed him. Then we protect his family. We offer them immunity, new identities, whatever it takes. Emma's voice was urgent. Alessandro, we have to try. Because the alternative is you killing your father and destroying everything we've built. Alessandro pulled her close, buried his face in her hair. You're asking me to bet your life on a maybe. I'm asking you to bet on us. On our future. On the possibility that we can win this without losing ourselves. He was quiet for a long moment. Then okay, we try it your way. But Emma, if this doesn't work, if he comes for you, then we deal with it, together. Alessandro made the calls. Within 3 hours, they were on his private jet to Miami. Emma had never been on a private plane before. The luxury felt obscene given what they were flying toward. But Alessandro was focused, already working his network, trying to locate Franco Delgado, his father's former right hand. I found him, Marco said 4 hours into the flight. Boca Raton, retirement community, using the name Frank Davis. Can we get to him? Alessandro asked. He plays golf every morning. Public course. Minimal security. Marco's expression was grim. But Mr. Russo, if your father finds out, we contacted him. My father won't find out. Will he, Marco? No, sir. They landed in Miami at midnight. Alessandro had a house there, of course he did. Emma was too exhausted to appreciate it. She fell asleep in his arms, one hand on her stomach, trying not to think about all the ways this could go wrong. The next morning, they went to the golf course. Franco Delgado. Frank Davis was exactly where Marco said he'd be. 70 years old, silver hair, expensive polo shirt. He looked like any other retired businessman. Until he saw Alessandro. Then his face went white. Cristo, Alessandro Russo, here to kill me, here to talk. Alessandro gestured to Emma. This is Emma, my fiancée. She's carrying my child. Franco's eyes softened fractionally. Congratulations, but that doesn't explain why you're in Florida. My father threatened her, threatened our child. I need to stop him, legally this time, and you're the only one who knows enough to help me do it. Franco laughed bitterly. You want me to testify against Vittorio? I'd be dead in a week. Not if you're in witness protection. New identity, new life for you and your family. Emma stepped forward. We can arrange it. The FBI would love to get their hands on Vittorio Russo. The FBI has been trying for 30 years. They can't touch him. Because they don't have an insider, someone who knows where the bodies are buried. Literally, Alessandro's voice was ice. You know about the murders, the Sicily families, my mother, all of it. And you kept records, didn't you? Insurance against the day my father decided you knew too much. Franco's expression confirmed it. How did you? Because you're smart, paranoid like me. Alessandro pulled out a chair. Sit. Let's talk about what it would take for you to share those records. They talked for 2 hours. Franco was resistant at first, terrified of Vittorio's reach. But slowly, as Alessandro outlined the protection they could offer, the new life waiting for his grandchildren, he began to crack. I have videos, Franco finally admitted. Hidden camera footage. Your father ordering hits, including your mother's. He looked at Alessandro. I'm sorry, kid. I should have stopped him, should have protected her, but I was weak. We were all weak. Alessandro's voice was rough. But we can stop him now, before he hurts anyone else. My family. We'll be safe, I give you my word. And unlike my father, my word means something. Franco stared at him for a long moment. Then he nodded. Okay, but we do this fast. Once those videos go public, Vittorio will know where they came from. We'll have maybe 48 hours before he retaliates. That's all we need. Alessandro stood. Get the videos. We'll have the FBI ready to move. Franco left to retrieve his insurance. Alessandro pulled Emos aside. This is it. Once we hand those videos over, there's no going back. My father will be arrested, probably spend the rest of his life in prison. But he'll fight, and people might get hurt. We're already hurt. He made sure of that. Emma's hand found his. But we can end this, for good. So our child grows up free of his shadow. I'm scared, Alessandro admitted. What if we're wrong? What if this just makes things worse? Then we deal with it. But Alessandro, we can't keep living in fear. That's not a life. That's a prison. Emma stood on her toes, kissed him. We're brave. Remember, we jumped off the cliff. Now we see if we can fly. Franco returned 3 hours later with a USB drive. Everything's on here, 20 years of footage, murders, bribes, threats, enough to put Vittorio away for life. Alessandro took the drive like it was made of glass. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. Thank me when my family is safe and your father is behind bars. Franco's expression was haunted. And Alessandro, I'm sorry. For everything. For not protecting your mother. For being part of the machine that made you into what you were. You're making it right now. That's what matters. They flew back to New York that night. Alessandro had already contacted his FBI connections agents who'd been trying to build a case against Vittorio for years. By the time they landed, there were warrants being prepared, safe houses being arranged for Franco's family. It's happening, Emma whispered as they drove to the FBI field office. We're really doing this. Are you scared? Terrified, but also relieved, like we're finally taking control. Alessandro's hand tightened on hers. Whatever happens, we're in this together. The FBI agent who met them was a woman named Sarah Chen. Hard-eyes, no-nonsense demeanor. She took the USB drive, loaded it onto a secure computer, and started watching. Her expression changed within minutes. From professional to shocked to grimly satisfied. This is everything, she breathed. Do you know what you've just handed us? The end of my father's empire, Alessandro said flatly. More than that, this connects to dozens of unsolved murders, disappearances. It's going to take down half the families in New York. Chen looked up. How fast can you get Franco Delgado into protective custody? He's already on his way, him and his entire family. Good, because once we move on this, there will be retaliation. Vittorio Russo doesn't go down quietly. Chen's eyes were sharp. You two need protection too. FBI safe house until we have him in custody. No. Alessandro's voice was final. We're not hiding. We're visible. Public. Let my father know we're not afraid. That's incredibly stupid. That's the point. Emma stepped forward. Vittorio thrives on fear, on control. If we hide, he wins. Even if he goes to prison, he wins because we spent our lives running. Chen studied them. You're either very brave or very foolish. Both, Alessandro said, but we're doing this our way. Chen sighed. Fine, but you get FBI protection, round the clock, armed agents, and if anything, and I mean anything, feels wrong, you call immediately. Deal. They left the field office at midnight. FBI agents followed in unmarked cars. Alessandro's phone started ringing within minutes. He knows, Alessandro said, staring at his father's name on the screen. Somehow he already knows. Answer it, Emma said. Let him hear that we're not afraid. Alessandro put the phone on speaker. Father, you betrayed me. Vittorio's voice was cold fury. You went to Franco, got his insurance, handed it to the FBI. I ended you. There's a difference. Did you? Vittorio laughed. Boy, I taught you better than this. You think the FBI scares me? I own half the judges in New York. I'll be out by morning. Not this time. The evidence is too solid, too public. You're done. Am I? Or am I just getting started? Vittorio's voice dropped. You took from me my freedom, my empire, my legacy. So I'll take from you that woman, that child, everything you love, and you'll watch it all burn. The line went dead. Emma's blood turned to ice. He's coming for us. Let him. Alessandro's expression was granite. FBI protection, building security, he can't touch us. But Emma couldn't shake the feeling that they just painted a target on their backs. That night in Alessandro's penthouse with FBI agents stationed outside, Emma couldn't sleep. She got up, went to the window, stared out at the city. Alessandro found her there. Talk to me. What if we were wrong? What if Franco's evidence isn't enough? What if your father really does own the judges? Emma's voice shook. What if we just made everything worse? Then we face it. Together. Alessandro wrapped his arms around her from behind, hands settling on her stomach. This baby, our future, it's worth fighting for. Worth risking everything. I'm scared he'll hurt you, hurt the baby. He won't get the chance. Alessandro's voice was steel. I've spent 10 years preparing for this, building alliances, creating leverage. If he comes for us, he'll learn that I'm not the weak son who ran away. I'm the man who built an empire to rival his, and I will destroy anyone who threatens my family. The next morning, the news broke. Vittorio Russo arrested on multiple counts of murder racketeering, witness tampering. Franco's videos were everywhere, news channels, social media, impossible to ignore or suppress. Alessandro's phone exploded with calls, business partners, colleagues, people distancing themselves or offering support. Through it all, he stayed calm, focused. The hearing is in 3 days, Agent Chen called to tell him. We're pushing for no bail. He's a flight risk with unlimited resources. Will it work? With this evidence, I'd bet on it, Ed, but Alessandro, we're hearing chatter. People loyal to your father making threats. You need to be careful. We are. But that afternoon, Emma's studio was firebombed. She wasn't there, hadn't been back since the pregnancy. But all her paintings, all her work, everything she'd created in that space gone, burned to ash. Emma stood outside the blackened building, watching firefighters spray water on smoldering remains, and felt something inside her break. He did this, she whispered. From a jail cell, he still destroyed everything. Not everything. Alessandro pulled her close. The paintings I bought are safe, and you're alive. That's what matters. My studio, my work, it's all gone. We'll rebuild. Better, safer. Alessandro's jaw clenched, and he'll pay for this, I promise. But the hits kept coming. That night, Alessandro's gallery was vandalized. 2 days later, his restaurant was shut down by sudden health code violations that were clearly fabricated. Vittorio's reach extended far beyond prison walls. He's systematically destroying everything you've built, Emma said on the third day watching news coverage of the restaurant closure. How is he doing this from jail? He has people, loyalists who would die for him or kill for him. Alessandro's expression was grim. He's showing me that even behind bars, he can hurt me, can hurt you. Then we hit back, harder. How? Emma's eyes were fierce. We get married. Bye. We make a public statement. We show the world that we're not hiding, not scared. We claim our future in front of everyone. Alessandro stared at her. You want to get married now in the middle of a war, especially now, because that's what he doesn't expect. He expects us to cower, to hide, to let him win through fear. Emma gripped his hands. But if we get married, have a public ceremony, invite press, we show him he has no power over us. We show the world we're not ashamed of who you are or what we've built together. Emma, it's dangerous. Everything is dangerous, but I'm tired of letting him control our lives. Tired of waiting for the other shoe to drop. Emma's voice broke. I'm pregnant with your child. I love you and I want to marry you. Not someday when it's safe, now, while it's hard, while we're fighting, because that's when it means the most. Alessandro kissed her. Deep, claiming, yes, God, yes, let's get married. They planned it for 2 days later, small, intimate, just close friends and massive security. But public Emma insisted on that. They'd register with the city, make it official, let the world know that Emma Blake was becoming Emma Russo. The morning of the wedding, Alessandro's lawyer called with news. The judge denied bail. Vittorio stays in custody until trial. Thank God, Emma breathed. Don't celebrate yet. He's already filed appeals. And we're hearing rumors about witness intimidation. Franco's family is safe, but there are other witnesses we need who are suddenly refusing to testify. He's scaring them from inside a cell, Alessandro said. He's Vittorio Russo. Fear is his currency. The lawyer paused. Alessandro, maybe you should postpone the wedding. Wait until... No, we're doing this today. As planned. Alessandro's voice was final. He's taken enough from me. He's not taking this. They were married in Alessandro's penthouse with 20 people watching. Emma wore white, simple, elegant, chosen that morning because there hadn't been time for more. Alessandro wore a suit that probably cost more than her old rent, and his hands shook when he slid the ring onto her finger. I, Alessandro Vittorio Russo, take you, Emma Blake, to be my wife. His voice cracked. To love, honor, and protect for as long as we both live, through danger and peace, through fear and hope. You are mine and I am yours, and nothing will ever change that. Emma's vows were simpler. I choose you, every day, in every way, no matter what comes. When they kissed, sealing their marriage, Emma tasted salt, his tears, or hers, she couldn't tell. But in that moment, surrounded by security and friends, and the ever-present threat of Vittorio's reach, Emma felt something she hadn't felt in weeks. Hope. The reception was short an hour, maybe less. FBI agents watched from corners. David stood by the door. Marco coordinated with building security. It should have felt like a prison. Instead, it felt like a fortress. We did it, Emma whispered to Alessandro as they cut the cake. We're married. We're married, he kissed her temple. Mrs. Russo, that's going to take some getting used to. You have the rest of your life. The rest of the day passed in a blur. Well wishes from guests, calls from colleagues, news coverage. Somehow the press had found out, and by evening their wedding was trending on social media. Look, Sarah showed Emma her phone. People are calling you inspiring, brave, a modern love story. Or incredibly stupid, Emma said, but she was smiling. That night, alone in their bedroom, Alessandro made love to his wife with a reverence that brought tears to her eyes. Afterward, lying tangled together, he placed his hand on her stomach. How are you feeling, the baby? Fine, good. The doctor said everything looks healthy. Emma covered his hand with hers. We're going to be okay, Alessandro, all three of us. I want to believe that. Then believe it. We've faced everything he's thrown at us, and we're still here. Still together. Still fighting. Alessandro pulled her closer. I love you. More than I thought I could love anyone. I love you too, and I'm proud of you, of what you've become, what we're building together. They fell asleep wrapped around each other, and for the first time in weeks, Emma slept without nightmares. But at 3 a.m. her phone rang. Agent Chen. Emma, get Alessandro now. Emma shook him awake. It's Chen. Something's wrong. Alessandro grabbed the phone. What happened? Emma watched his face go white, then hard, then something that looked like grief and rage combined. We're coming. Don't let anyone touch him. Alessandro hung up. Vittorio collapsed in his cell. He's at the hospital. They think it's a heart attack. Emma's stomach dropped. Is he alive? Barely. Chen thinks it might be fake, a ploy to escape. Alessandro was already dressing. But if it's real, then this might be over. They rushed to the hospital. FBI agents were everywhere. Alessandro pushed past them to the ICU where Vittorio lay hooked to machines. He looked small, fragile, nothing like the monster who'd terrorized them. A doctor approached. Mr. Russo, your father had a massive coronary. We've stabilized him, but the next 24 hours are critical. If you want to say anything, now's the time. Alessandro stared at the man who'd shaped his life, his tormentor, his teacher, his nightmare. Then he looked at Emma standing in the doorway, one hand on her stomach. No, Alessandro said quietly. I have nothing to say to him. He's already taken enough of my life. He doesn't get my last words too. He turned to leave. But Vittorio's eyes opened, focused on Alessandro with terrifying clarity. Son. Alessandro froze. Against his better judgment, he turned back. What? You won. Vittorio's voice was barely a whisper. You did what I couldn't. You walked away, built something clean, found love. His eyes shifted to Emma. She's good, like your mother. Don't let the world destroy that. Are you seriously giving me advice on how to love someone you killed her? I destroyed her. There's a difference. Vittorio coughed, blood flecking his lips. I couldn't let her go. Couldn't accept that she wanted freedom more than she wanted me. So I took everything from her, including her life. Why are you telling me this? Because you're about to be a father, and I need you to understand love is not possession. It's sacrifice. Vittorio's hand reached out weakly. Don't become me, Alessandro. Don't let fear turn you into a monster. I already made that choice 10 years ago when I walked away from you. Good. Vittorio smiled genuine for once. Then my last piece of business, I'm dropping the appeals, pleading guilty, taking responsibility for everything. Alessandro's breath caught. Why? Because that child deserves a grandfather who's not a stain on the family name. And because, Vittorio's voice cracked, because I'm tired, son, tired of being the monster. Let me end it on my terms. The machines started beeping frantically. Doctors rushed in. Alessandro was pushed back out into the hallway where Emma waited. What did he say? She asked. That he's pleading guilty, taking responsibility, ending it. Emma's eyes widened. Is he serious? I think so. I think Alessandro stopped as a doctor emerged, expression grave. I'm sorry, we did everything we could. Vittorio Russo was dead. Alessandro stood frozen. Didn't cry, didn't react, just stared at the room where his father, his tormentor, his nightmare, his creator had taken his last breath. Are you okay? Emma asked softly. I don't know. Alessandro's voice was hollow. I hated him, feared him, wanted him to pay for everything he did. But he stopped. He was still my father. And now he's gone. Emma pulled him close. It's okay to grieve, even for monsters, especially when they're the monsters we loved. Alessandro buried his face in her neck and finally let himself cry. For his mother, for the man his father could have been, for the childhood he never had, for everything that was broken and everything that might finally heal. Agent Chen approached quietly. Mr. Russo, I'm sorry for your loss, but I need to inform you with Vittorio's death, the case effectively closes. His guilty plea was entered into the record this morning. All his assets are frozen pending distribution. You're listed as next of kin. Alessandro pulled back from Emma, wiped his eyes. I don't want his money. Give it to his victims, the families he destroyed. Use it to make things right. Are you sure we're talking hundreds of millions? I'm sure. I built my own empire. I don't need his blood money. Alessandro's voice was steel. Let it do some good for once. Chen nodded. I'll make the arrangements. And Mr. Russo, for what it's worth, you're nothing like him. You did the right thing. I married the right woman. She did the right thing. Alessandro pulled Emma close. I just followed her lead. They left the hospital as the sun rose over New York. The city was waking up indifferent to the death of a monster or the birth of hope. Emma and Alessandro stood on the hospital steps watching the light spread across the skyline. It's over, Emma said quietly. Really over. Yes, Alessandro's hand moved to her stomach. Now we get to focus on what matters. This baby, our future, building a life that's ours, not his, not stained by his choices. What do you want to do first? Alessandro smiled, the first real smile Emma had seen in days. Take my wife home, hold her. Start planning for the child we're bringing into a world that's finally free of Vittorio Russo's shadow. They did exactly that. In the weeks that followed, Emma's belly began to show. Alessandro became obsessively protective, but in a gentler way, less controlling, more caring. They rebuilt Emma's studio this time with security that could withstand a small army. Alessandro's businesses recovered from Vittorio's attacks, and slowly, day by day, they built the life they'd fought for. 5 months later, Emma went into labor 3 weeks early. Alessandro drove her to the hospital himself, breaking at least a dozen traffic laws, his hand white-knuckled on the steering wheel. Breathe, Emma gasped between contractions. You need to breathe. You're the one in labor. Yes, and you're the one hyperventilating. Focus, Alessandro. 16 hours later, Emma, Blake Russo brought a daughter into the world. 7 pounds, 3 ounces, with her mother's eyes and her father's dark hair. Alessandro held her with shaking hands, this tiny, perfect thing they'd created. She's beautiful. She's perfect. She's ours, is Emma finished, only ours. They named her Sophia Grace Russo. Sophia for Alessandro's mother. Grace for the second chance they'd been given. That night, while Emma slept and Sophia dozed in her father's arms, Alessandro made a silent vow. This child would know love without possession, protection without control, strength without violence. She would grow up free of the Russo legacy of fear and blood. She would grow up knowing her father had been broken and rebuilt himself into something better, that her mother had been brave enough to love him anyway, that together they'd faced monsters and won. I promise you, Alessandro whispered to his sleeping daughter, you'll never know the darkness I came from. Only the light we built for you. Emma woke to find them like that, Alessandro in the chair beside her bed, Sophia cradled against his chest, both of them sleeping peacefully. She pulled out her phone, took a picture. This moment, this peace, this love, this was what they'd fought for. This was what made every risk, every fear, every painful choice worth it. Sarah texted her. How are you feeling? Emma looked at her sleeping husband and daughter, at the life they'd built from ashes and hope and stubborn refusal to let fear win. Perfect, she typed back. We're absolutely perfect. And for the first time in her life, Emma Blake Russo meant it completely. They had survived the darkness, fought their way through fear, and come out the other side transformed. Not unscathed, they both carried scars from battles won and wounds earned. But together, strong, free. The girl who'd collapsed from hunger at a party had become the woman who'd brought a billionaire to his knees with love. The man who'd been raised as a weapon had become a father determined to raise his daughter in peace. And the monster who tried to destroy them had instead given them the greatest gift, the certainty that their love could survive anything. Outside, the city sparkled with possibility. Inside, a new family slept safe in each other's arms, ready for whatever tomorrow brought. Because they'd learned the most important truth of all: love wasn't the weakness Vittorio had believed it to be. It was the strongest weapon they'd ever found. And together they were absolutely unstoppable.